Boa tarde a todos, bem-vindos. Quem está atrasado vai entrando. Hoje, na sessão 2 do Clínica Internacional do MVP Coaches Corner, temos cá Manuel, Peña, Garcés. Atualmente é treinador adjunto do Basket de Saragossa, na Liga ACB. Esteve também 5 épocas em Inglaterra como treinador principal e diretor técnico do Reading Rockets. E hoje vamos falar um pouco desta última parte, ou seja, da relação do diretor técnico de um clube e as diferentes dinâmicas durante a sua atuação com os treinadores e com os encarregados de educação. Gostaria também de referir que podem fazer perguntas por escrito na nossa secção das perguntas e respostas, está no vosso painel de controle. Iremos sempre fazer uma pausa entre cada subtema da apresentação do Manuel e fazer as perguntas que nos colocarem. Assim tornamos também a apresentação um pouco mais dinâmica. Deixamos algumas perguntas que não podemos fazer durante a apresentação para a parte final, mas tentamos sempre que seja dinâmico das duas partes. Manuel, you have the floor, so welcome to MVP Coaches Corner, and from now you will lead the way.
Right, thank you very much. Boa tarde. Muito contento de estar aqui. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, and thanks for the invitation, MVP Coaches Corner. So let's see if I can just add some, and we can just discuss about something. So any question you have during the presentation, please just you can ask, and you can stop it. So and we can do just more dynamic. All right. So I'm gonna share the screen if you allow me. Okay. More or less the presentation that I prepared, so I hope this is dynamic and we are not losing a little bit, but well, it's basically about the relation that we have coaches with the general managers. Okay, so actually I learn a lot because I'm just part of a sport coach, which is sport coach is like a website that we prepare here in Spain with a couple of more coaches as well, and we prepare like the first and the only sporting director or general manager course in the world about basketball. Is in Spanish, so well, that's probably the problem for foreign people, but obviously we have a lot of important people, for example, international people here, and I know a lot about that. And also when I just was preparing the presentation with and talking with Coach Nuno about it, so I realized how long I was dealing with general managers, so with sporting director, and how was that relation. But before to arrive that, okay, I'm gonna introduce myself a little bit. Yeah, who I am. Yes, basically, I am now, okay, assistant coach in ACB in Zaragoza, which I'm very proud, but actually I'm all of these other people. So my pathway is this one. So actually I am this guy. And I am also these guys. As one teacher in my high school should say, okay, we are each of us with our environment. And this was my context, my environment. I have been lucky just to be living in London, in Geneva, in Spain, different places, my family from a small village. So all of that experience and all of that experience are just, okay, around the people that is with you, that all of them, they are just adding you value. And obviously, working with general managers that you will know, the general managers that I have been working, that add me, okay, value as well. So where am I coming from? Okay, just a little bit. I fall in love with the basketball when I was a player. Okay, I play in different levels, semi-professional levels, and I went just to play also in Italy. And obviously, in Italy is when I finished my degree. I'm also industrial engineer. I finished my degree there. I was working as well over there in different companies, engineering, one mechanic engineering and another one civil engineering. I have been just after doing some clinics and lectures, different of them, not only about basketball, also about administration, because I did my MBA, Master in Business Administration, finished in UK. I did different conferences, as I say, for example, as well in Spain. I was working as engineer in England. Sorry, yeah? Any question? No? Okay. So I was working
Master in Business Administration, finishing.
I was working as well as an engineer in UK. And I became a coach finally, okay, full-time coach, as Nuno said before. I was 5 years professional coach in England, and after my last 2 years here in Spain. Each of us, on all of this situation was very important, the decision making. So, and recognize the responsibilities and accountability, same as we are doing as a coaches with the general managers to select the players that we are going to have in our rosters, which is one of the responsibilities that we are going to be talking later. However, before to arrive that, obviously we cannot see each of us until we have like a little bit, okay, thinking about the pathway. And the pathway is not only what you study, the pathway is not only, it's just also where you are. And for example, as a player, I start, for example, in Alcora. It was a small village, and I was working with people. Here, for example, I was in Italy playing in Reco, and starting as a coach, okay, for example, in London West Side. I mentioned these 3 scenarios with 4 different people. Here, for example, is Vicente Beltrán, here is Chicho Marchesi, here is Matteo Bertini, or Fran Lanti. All of them, they are, for me, the base of the basketball, because, for example, you don't know where to start the responsibility of the general manager, the president, the owner. Sometimes it's the same person. In this case, for example, London West Side, he was running like 8 teams in juniors, in seniors, and he was the owner, he was the person putting the money, he was the general manager, and also when I arrived over there with him, he was also the coach in some of the teams. So you don't know sometimes where he's starting, and I know a lot, and I just learn a lot from him. I learned a lot from Vicente because he was just running, he was looking for sponsors, and I just have a much respect of all of them. Also Marchesi, for example, who was like putting the money and just creating like a basketball in a zone that is not basketball at all. Or Matteo, that he was just running all the programs. So I mentioned them because for me they are based for our basketball in general, and I learn a lot from them. But let's go, okay, directly for the general manager decision. The general manager decision, the first decision that he had is like just to sign a coach. So what is the coach that I want or is fitting my program? And for example, in that situation, I could be your coach. That situation happened when I went, okay, to Reading, for example. After that one, okay, the general manager, we have seen, for example, in the last days, okay, the last dance for Chicago Bulls. If you didn't see yet or you didn't watch that, I just recommend you. We have the character of the person of Jerry, okay, Krause, who should just prepare the team with the coach. Was not basically the situation, especially in the last year for the Chicago Bulls, because the relations, as we will be talking today as well, sometimes they have frictions and they are not always finishing properly. Here, for example, in ACB, we have a big example, so good examples I wanted to mention. Here in Zaragoza, one big example of coach that we had and the general manager, very great, okay, Willy Villar and Jose Luis Abos. Right now, the actors, they are different. So we have the general manager, Pep Cargold, I will be talking later about him, and head coach, Porfi Fisac. But sometimes after, the president didn't change. The president, the owners, sometimes they are the same. So we need just to understand what means that. Well, as I say, that happened, okay, to me when I went to England. I was working in London West Side, and suddenly I had like a meeting with one general manager. This general manager was Matt Johnson. I have been working after with him, okay, 5 years. So I think this is very important. I mentioned, okay, the time that I have been working with all of them, because in my relation, in my situation, probably in the way that I am or in the way that they are, okay, it was like a long-term time. Well, the GM basically has a couple of different responsibilities, basically. One is to be a CEO, and the other one a sporting director. And these situations sometimes just divide. Here in Zaragoza, for example, is divide. Okay, one is a sporting director and the other one is the CEO. Okay, in this situation in England, it was the same person. But the CEO is just more office work, have to be working with the sponsors, with the marketing team, with the president, with the delegates, look for the strategies for the club, look for the future, and look as well for the community. Okay, so has to be like more or less overviewing and just more in charge of these kind of things. But the sporting director, I think that one of the keys that we have in these 5 years, and it was working very good, was that we divide that work as well. And we divide in sporting director properly and technical director. So he gave me the option of just being like the technical director because probably the knowledge that I had in that moment as well, I was working already with the Spanish Federation. So it was very, very interesting how we divide that one. In some other places, we call, or they call subdirection. I don't like to call subdirection in this way because in that moment I feel in the same status, in the same way, in the same position, right? So what was basically, or what is here more or less the responsibility? So well, look for players. Who is looking for players? Here obviously I put the three different scenarios, knowing that the technical director and the coach is the same, but imagine that here we have another person, all right? So look for players. Everybody is looking for players. So we have different inputs from different people. So arrive through agent, directly through players that you have been working before. So the responsibility for the sporting director should be deal with the owner, with the CEO, with the delegates, okay, with the contracts. So he's gonna be just signing the contracts. He's gonna be in charge of the money. So he's gonna deal with that, and with the agents. What is doing then the technical director? For me, the technical director should be just analyzing, okay, the player, doing the interviews, okay, with the player, and also if we think that is necessary, not for me, but if we think that is necessary, also with the context, okay, with the rest of the people around him, all right, and just collate all of that information, okay, to have a big okay photo of the player that you are gonna sign. So basically, in NBA, this situation is for a group of people. That's why they call, okay, or subdirection, for example, or associate to the direction, for example, right? And then, okay, the coach have to coach. The whole coach have to add the player in the structure. The coach need to deal with the players, with the team, and also with the media. It's not that they are not gonna deal with the media, but normally, okay, the journalism is always just asking the coach regularly every week, and not to the sporting director or the technical director. Technical director have to be as well looking, okay, if the player that we sign is gonna fit inside of the group that we are looking, and is gonna inside as well of the club. Let's go for that as well. Let's go to talk about responsibilities during the season as well, where the sporting director, for me, especially here, he was like in charge in the office work, looking for sponsors, dealing with agents, and also protecting, okay, making the wall to the managers or to the, sometimes as well to the media, but normally, okay, to the managers, or sometimes the people in the office, the president. So he was just the person just dealing with them and talking with them. He's going to be the person overviewing the program, making the assessment, and no, the assessment shouldn't be only for the results, all right? That have to be clear. In my career, that has been like a key as well, because they didn't just rate, okay, about the results, or that's what I feel, because obviously we get some results as well. So I don't know if at the end it was that a key, because in high level, the result is very important. And I'm not going to say that's not, but probably that result as well, it was like because of the work that we were doing. It was not the end, okay? It was just thanks for the process that we were following. Then the technical director during the season, okay, he has to keep looking for players, okay, he keep in the market, and do the analysis of the team performance. And he has to justify to the sporting director, who is going to be just the person making the wall against the people in the exterior. So in that way, okay, in the technical director, it was key for us as well. He decided the color, the plan for the long or middle term. What means that? Basically, my work here was not only the top team, but also the first team, the development team, the juniors, the under 16s, the under 14s, and the under 12s, they were working in the same idea. They were playing with the same idea. Let's see, we were playing, for example, in fast break, spread floor, pick and roll arriving. So everybody, okay, was playing that situation. We were playing, for example, situation from the sideline. We're playing the zipper pick and roll. So everybody, okay, from the youth programs to the top, we're playing zipper pick and roll. That means like I decide to go in blue, looking the idea of the club, the players that we have in the club, okay, and the best idea for them in their development. You can decide maybe you are in yellow, that's fine. So maybe instead of play like everybody spread, play with a reference inside, and you play reference inside, everybody feel the ball inside when we are in transition, or play, for example, a line in the box in line from the sideline. It doesn't matter, all right? That's have to be justified because of the personnel that you have in the club, thinking in the club. After, with the youth technical director, in this case, okay, Mr. Ben Fisher, who was in charge of the teams, the youth teams and the camps. So we were working as well to realize if that program that we put was good. Why we were doing that? Other places they are not doing that. Other places they leave or all the situation for the coaches to see, okay, you put any situation, tactical situation you want, because the player have to be smart and have to develop himself. But we were doing that because in the same season, some people, especially in England, from under 14s, he could just maybe go to the under 16, maybe go to the under 18 as well. So we didn't want like this player, okay, be like very, very tough for him in terms of the plays, in terms of the tactics. So that's why we had the same structure and the same idea. When the coach have to be thinking in the short term. In that way, it was difficult because I was the same person, but the coach have to be thinking in his team. And maybe this blue is a sky blue or midnight blue is different kind of blues here. So what means that? So that if we are playing, okay, zipper pick and roll, so we are going to play all of that zipper pick and roll, but maybe for my situation, because of my personal, I'm playing zipper pick and pop because it's better just to pop because I have like one player that have options for shooting, or I have one person with ball handling, like it's gonna be very good just in penetration, right? So this is things that we are in the same blue, but with different kind of tones, right? Coach is gonna be responsible about the team, and he's gonna be responsible about the player development. Another person that I was working during that time as well was Vladan Dragosavac. He was performance pathway manager in Basketball England. Same, okay, as a player development, as a general manager in the Basketball England. I was working with him for 4 years, and he was just building, okay, the project for Basketball England, and he was designing, okay, strategy and controlling what was happening. Obviously, we are working and talking now about different scenarios. Firstly, we were working on talking about a club in semi-professional club. Now we are talking about one federation, okay? Federation like was in that moment growing up, all right? And he was overviewing more things. In that moment, I was starting as a regional coach. So as a regional coach, I had to just execute the plan. So I had one plan from Vladan, and I was executing the plan. But as well, I was very proactive. And for example, with the Spanish Federation, I collaborate and I was working just to have some coaches from Spain. In this case, my friend Miguel Martin and Carlos Colinas, high top coaches in Spain, just coming to England to deliver some clinics and to have some development over there. And also, I became also head coach in the under 15 national team. And in that way, my main responsibility and the direct, okay, communication with Vladan was about development, because the group of the players was development, and also the results. But again, that was not the most important thing. Okay, we just get some good results, for example, in Copenhagen tournament, but it was not the main important thing. Okay, he was always just looking for development, and actually the main thing is like most of the players that we were working with in that moment, they are in top leagues right now, and one of them, for example, is in Barcelona. Another one, for example, is now in USA, just with a big great pathway. We have different players. Okay, the top player in Division 1 in England, it was one of the players in that team as well. And okay, just look from a lot of different academies and different coaches around the world. So, and one of the keys with Bladan was the communication and the honesty. So before I'm going to the next one, I would like just, Nuno, is any question over there?
No, until now, no. Everyone's
Okay.
just listening.
So let's carry on then, because I'm going with the next person that I was working as well inside of the Basketball England. I was working with Charlie Ford. In this moment was the talent manager, different role. Bladan was going to another sport. Actually, I was made in the interviews to become a sporting director for Basketball England. I just was until the last cut. We were just two persons, and they decided the other one, which was very good, and I have a very great relation with him as well. It's Mr. Steve Bagnall. But in this moment, it was without a sporting director. And I was working with the talent manager, Charlie Ford. What we developed in 2 years that I was working with him, we developed the talent pathway from youth program. Now it's Aspire program, development, talent, and Great Britain. Okay, so all the steps here. Okay, I was like a consultant in that moment, and I was working with another people like Sam Mesan or my friend as well, Sergio Lara from Manchester. So more people involved with that, and my main role was just check what was the most important thing to work with each level. And I just sharing here with you more or less what we were. So I highlight some things in each group. I don't, because it's not the main topic here, but I wanted just to show you something different. Maybe it's helping for you. So under 9 is when we were starting over there. Let's see, 6, 7, 8 years old in Great Britain. So not all the schools they are starting, but we were starting a program over there about mini bowlers. And the important thing is what is basketball. So we want like to develop a culture in this age. So the important thing in technical point of view is the balance. The tactical point of view is just should be 1v1. All right. If we will go after to under 12, which is like, okay, mini bowlers, we call it in Spain alevin. I don't know now in Portuguese, but okay, the important thing is basketball is my best friend. So in technical points, we are adding, okay, or is going to be important in this age. Let's see, okay, 10, 11, all right, years old. Stop and go, spin and pivoting in the technical point of view. So that's going to be important, okay, fundamental there. And in tactical, okay, know everybody with the ball. So just motion, know everybody with the ball, but know a lot of, okay, people. So I just, my main concept is 2v2 or 3v3. And with the position ball, defender and basketball, identify where is my, okay, where is the ball, where is the defender, where is the offense, and where is the basket. So important, identify the triangle. In technical point of view, okay, in under 14s, I mentioned that was very important now, 1v1, okay, on ball defense, mainly, pass and move in terms of tactical, and the transition not being cut. Like important understand, okay, fast break, the continuity of the game. Fast break, okay, finishing, defense transition, stopping the ball, static defense, go again, static offense. So this flow. So it means, okay, this offense, defense, continuity change. Under 16, I was saying, okay, shooting, dribbling, passing, okay, rising the speed. So all the main fundamentals, okay, rising the speed. And in terms of tactical, it's very important, okay, control of the concepts in 2v2. All right, 2v2 in of the stages: backdoor, handoff, pick and roll, pick and pop, in offense and in defense. And when we go talking about 3v3, what is the next threat? And this is very, very critical because it's before of the under 18s, before of the pre-academy in UK. So this is very important time in UK. After in under 18, academy time here in UK was a special spacing, timing, and individual actions. And after, work of the ball and trends about the scouting. That was more or less the work that I was developing with the basketball England.
Manuel,
yeah.
we have a question.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Antonio asks that if he understood well, so as a technical coordinator that you were speaking about in England,
yep.
you will set the way that every underage plays from under 12 until men's.
Yep.
Then in men's, then it's more demanding, of course, but there's a line of the same type of play that you do from under 12 until reach the men's, right?
Yes, that was like that. I was like that because of the different changes that we were doing. So we were playing more or less the same concepts in order that we were picking up something up after some player. And actually here in Zaragoza, just advancing something that is going to happen after in the presentation, we are having similar situations. So in development team is playing a lot of same concepts that we are playing in the top team. So the coaches, they are coming, watching, taking the concept because we are taking a lot of the players from the development team. So we are giving a lot of opportunities here. Sometimes we are practicing with 16 players here in the ECB. So we are bringing players from there, so they need to know the tactics that we are working already so far. So it's something because of that.
Okay, so the other question is, if you are in a small club where you sometimes as a technical director have to do so many things, the question is, in your understanding, where should be the priority of this technical director?
What should be the priority? Well, it's going to be depends the scenario, right? So, I mean, for example, if you are in a scenario that is very important, the most important thing, and probably if you don't have enough people over there, is because you don't have a lot of resources. So it's because you have to do a lot of things. And if you need to think, okay, what is the priority? The priority is the players they play, and the kids they play, and they enjoy. And we develop the culture. So that's going to be the main thing. That's why, okay, when we start with the mini ballers also in UK, the main thing is develop a culture. So develop a culture and enjoy what they are doing is the main thing. After, we can be talking about the rest of the things. The rest of the things they are going to be, okay, adding, okay, a run-up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let me just one thing now that we stop here in Spain. They are 8 o'clock, okay, and everybody is just clapping. So I will ask you just a small, just is like clap, like, okay, only because they are clapping for the sanitary people and the people that is in the hospitals and working and policemen and everybody that is taking care of the situation. So I wanted just to give that as a small gest, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so let's go in, okay, for the next slide, which was, okay, when I was working as well with the Spanish Federation. I was working with the Spanish Federation and the general manager was Angel Palmi, right? Basically, I was working with the Spanish Federation for 7 years in different roles. So what kind of roles and what was the responsibilities? For example, I was assistant coach for the under 18 men's national team, and in different times, okay, not in a European Championship, but yes, in Christmas, in Easter, in different scenarios. So it was very important for the relation that we had. Obviously, I was assistant coach to understand the responsibilities in the process, scouting and preparation in previous concentrations, in previous just moments, and analyze the performance of the team, because Mr. Angel wanted, okay, to know exactly in this age group who was the best player in each position in different scenarios. So that was important for assistant coaches to pass to the head coach, and the head coach pass after to the general manager. And sometimes it was the general managers who asked you directly for that information, all right? So that was important. It was not important the result, but it was important the result in summer. So in summer, yes, the national teams It's important, okay, to have an European championship or world championship or medal. That's important for Spanish Federation. We are talking here about, but not during the process, all right? And after I was just a Spanish coach teacher for the Spanish coaches course for, I think that was 6 years. Now I don't know, it was 6 or 7, 6 years. And my main focus was development coaches. So it was very, very important, very important for Angel to know how was the process and who was the best coach in each year time as well. So again, all the time, the general managers, and it's very important, they are analyzing process and they are overviewing everything. So that was very important for him. My next experience, okay, has been just Pep Cargol. Mr. Pep is not because now he's my general manager, but probably is one of the general managers with best future in here in ACB. The last 2 years we have been very success, and probably the key or one of the keys has been as well how he was just also dealing, okay, to prepare the team, obviously with the head coach, Coach Porfi, who is always one coach that has a very long pathway, preparing a great teams from not a lot of resources, right? So in that way, I was my role is assistant coach, but obviously you are working, okay, in a team right now, okay. In this scenario, the team is just the family, and everybody that is outside, okay, you have to be, okay, loyal to the team, loyal to your head coach and your teammates, and after give the information to the general manager when he asks for that information, right? So for example, individual development for players, okay, if he is asking information, we just provide that information, or performance analysis of the team as well, okay? Always with the filter of the head coach, obviously. Just then finishing this, all right, I just prepared one idea, because if not, I'm gonna be over the 30-35 minutes that I was talking with Nuno. So educate and convince, all right? I take that from the education. I hope everybody knows about this. If not, I'm just saying it's not nothing special. It's just you are teaching when you are not teaching. So you are coaching when you are not coaching, all right? This is something that obviously just, let's see, we have to be an example for the players, all right? So then in this way, we are being analyzed when you think that you are not being analyzed. So everything, okay, when you are talking, okay, about these people, okay, this repoker, for example, of people here, they are analyzing you because he is his work. So when you are talking with them, all right, you have to select the right times. I think that you have to be honest, you have to be loyal, you have to expose arguments. So that's going to be important. So your arguments have to be, okay, clear, and they have to be, okay, as much as objective as you can. You have to be proactive, and you have to optimize process. So don't just put a lot of things, as I was trying as well, for example, in this presentation, not trying to put a lot of things, okay? Be clear, because we are dealing with the managers when we are not dealing with them. So anytime, okay, that we think, okay, we are not, all the time they are overviewing, and this is his work. And now, okay, that's only just finished, and I'm just open for a open discussion. I hope that was not very long, and it was like good and what you were like looking for.
Yes, thank you, Manuel. I have 2 questions here.
Yeah, of course.
First of all, the first of one is, when you were a technical director in England,
Yep.
how many times in a sense do you went regular to the practices of the youth teams?
Yes, and I was following as well through Ben Fisher to watch that one, and actually Matt Johnson, the sport director as well, was in the academy, and he was just encouraging us to have like different, not only visiting, also doing some stuff. So I was, for example, coaching sometimes the under 16 or the under 14, not regularly, but eventually, yes. And also because the connection probably with Spain, we had different visits over there. So for example, during my time over there, we had like Sergio Valdeolmillos, for example, visiting. He has been like a head coach in national team in Mexico and after a lot of years in ACB. We had like Juan Maroto, assistant coach from Valencia. Jaume Ponsarnau, head coach now in Valencia. He was head coach before in Manresa or Guipúzcoa in ACB. We had the visit as well of Victor La Peña. Now today, actually, he was like the EuroLeague coach of the year. He's now in Fenerbahce. So well, we had different profiles visiting us, doing things with the whole structure. Not only when they were coming, they were not working with the top team that they were, but also with the structure. For example, Luis Gil, assistant coach as well with Spanish national team and head coach in ACB a lot of years, or profiles like Audi Norris, professional player or NBA player as well, that they were visiting us. So I think that these kind of role models for the players, they are important, and working with the whole structure with the ideas that we had, because all of them, they are my friends, which is like good, but it was like, okay, because they were my friends, that we were preparing the things that we were putting on core. So they were saying, okay, what is good just to me to work over here? So we were working, for example, spacing, because we were playing a spread fast break with pick and roll situation. So arrive, fast break. Or 1 year, for example, we change a little bit and we play with a reference inside. So play everybody with reference inside, because the players that we had arriving through the process, we had that kind of profile. So he was working this kind of thing. So yeah, the answer is yes, we were visiting and we were preparing activities as well.
Okay, thanks. Another question from Luis Oliveira. He asks you, for you, what are the biggest difference between your experience regarding basketball organization in Spain and in England? So things that you think it's better in one place and worse in the same place.
Well, financial time, okay, the situation of the investment is completely different, right? So the scenario is different. But to be honest, even if the scenario is different because of the money, the problems, they are the same, and the scenario normally they are the same. So that's why I start just putting, for example, that people that I admire a lot, because they are investing in money, no waiting for any money back, for example, and just promoting youth basketball. Let's see in Reco, where I was in Italy, in Alcora, when I start, for example, over there, or in England. So when I start, so these people was like more amateur, but they were putting a lot of effort, and they had the same problems as they had, for example, here in ACB. So obviously with different level, but the same one. So in that way, I will say like the financial, the money that we can just manage or handle in one scenario or another is different. And that makes a lot of difference after about that, because obviously you have to deal with more people in one scenario, agents, media, a lot of more than you have, for example, in a reduced scenario with no money. So, but the responsibility for me should be the same. I don't know if I answer the question.
Yes, clearly. Daniel asks you regarding your GM in Zaragoza, if he asks you to scout during the summer, and if yes, what are the main points or details that you can share with us that is requested?
Well, I mean, obviously the general manager, he's having like a process during the whole year, looking in the market. For example, this year, 2 months ago, I think, before of this pandemic, like 3 or 4 weeks before, it was like a tournament showcase in USA, and he was over there. He was in Las Vegas the year before, so he's already having a big data about players, etc. So after we are a block, we are a team. So we work like a team from the top to the bottom, and we have like different no responsibilities because he's giving like some requesting some help in that way. But yeah, we are analyzing some players sometimes, not only because of the general manager, also because of the head coach. So because it has been not always is like that, but I just signed here in Zaragoza with this general manager that he was new, with the head coach that he was new, and with a group of people that most of them they were new, and we have been like in a process after during the summer as well. So in that summer was different like the summer before. Summer before I signed, and they give me some players that we were signing, and the player that we were signing was the player that I had to analyze to arrive when we start in pre-season, knowing all of them and having some ideas about the tactics that we are going to put. That was one scenario. And the scenario of the summer, the second summer, let's see like that, head coach was asking about some things, for example, some tactical performance analyzing from the year one to put for the year two, analyzing from the other teams, for example, kind of tactics that they were like trendy in the league and outside of our league. If was something okay that we can just handle and put in the next year. And that was more from the coach. And from the general manager, some names that they were coming, just analyzing and compare. In that year, we were comparing a little bit. So let's see, okay, this player, for example, and this other player in the same position 3, what player can just fit better for us? Because, for example, suddenly last year, we lost Stanokoye. For example, Stanokoye was just going to Gran Canary Island. So, okay, who is going to replace? How? Okay, how we are going to just put this kind of role for the next player, and we prefer this one, or this one, right? So we were comparing. So that was more or less the analyze. And how we were analyzing? Well, in this situation, we were looking for a player scorers, so points they were important, rate of turnovers they were important, and for efficiency, for example, was important. We were using a little bit, okay, big data, a little bit, but not that much, and advanced statistics, again, a little bit, but not that much, looking more or less the profiles and videos, how we were analyzing.
Okay, thank you. Alexandre Pires have an interesting question. He asked, when you are a young technical director, sometimes you have to manage a lot of coaches in a club.
Yes.
And sometimes there's a difficulty to pass, the vision that you have to all of these coaches. So he asks your opinion how to approach this type of managing without making a bad environment or making the other coaches looking in a different way to you.
Well, I mean that's difficult, and sometimes in this world that we have is difficult because of the age sometimes. So sometimes if you are young, for example, and you have a really veteran coach over there, is different scenario. You have trained them especially, but I will say one very clear thing: you have to be honest. You have to be honest, and you have to put same as I was saying, okay, about the just deal with the sporting director or the general manager when you are a coach. Saying that if you are in that scenario, you have to be honest with the people that have to be working with you. First of all, you have to convince them. So convince them is very important. As I was saying over there in the slide, and one of the last slides, convince is important right now because everybody knows a lot. Everybody can just have like a lot of arguments. So you need to prepare yourself, I think, be honest, and just sign what is the line that you want just to work. And that that doesn't create bad environment. If you are honest from the beginning, you are just having you have to be as well assertive. So you cannot be like no one is listening that you cannot be an asshole, right? So you have to be correct, okay? You have to be direct, and you have to be honest. So if you are polite, you are not gonna be. If you are rude, you will have problems. But if you are polite, you are saying someone, okay, I don't like or I don't think this is the right way because you are playing, for example, zone because you want to win the game. and this is not the way of, that's the main focus that we have, because the coaches, they want to win. Our small ego as a coaches, they mean like, oh, I want to win this game or this championship. And maybe as a club, you don't want to win at any price. You want to win, but you want to win in one direction. Okay, playing, developing the players, and making the players better. And that's the thing that you have to work. And if the coach doesn't understand, the next step is just more clinics. This coach is not doing because his education or his he's not ready for this, because obviously he's not understanding what you want. He's just doing in another way because he thinks he's better. So you need to teach in that way. You need to put people like we were putting, for example, in England. We were bringing Sergio Valdormillo, we're bringing Jaume Ponsarnau, we're bringing people like, okay, they were here in this level and they are here in that level and they are telling you, don't put the zone, for example, right? So if you keep putting the zone, the next step is just, listen, the next one, okay, you are going to be out. And it's not being just rude, it's just being, okay, through the process. I'm telling one, I'm just helping you, I'm just teaching you, you are not ready for my club. And hey, hold on a minute. I understand that in some situation, some coaches, they have to be there because otherwise it's not other coach. So then the situation that you have is like the second stage, you have to make as longer as you can, maybe until the end of the season. So you need just to, okay, take and receive and, okay, make him understand and allow him to do something. But after, you need to prioritize what is more important. If for you is more important, for example, don't put the zone, okay, and don't use the zone. So that's the main thing. And leave the other battles for another moments, all right? Or if it's very important because he is like rude with the players and it's something that is a red line for you in your club, you have to be very clear on that, right? So more or less that was my approach when I was there, and was working very good. Not only with coaches, 1 second only, Nuno, not only with coaches, also with parents, which we were doing also some seminar as well.
Okay, well, just to pick up the last part of your response, and this is a question from me, the parents, in your opinion, some strategies that you worked that could be good for the club and the relationship between coaches and parents during the season?
Well, I mean, for example, over there in England, they have what they call courses that you have to do all the year in order that you are working with youth people. I don't know, remember now the name, but you have like all the coaches, you have to just pass one kind of course. And I was saying all the time, and why the parents, they are not passing this course as well, right? So it was like fun because, I mean, the people was, but I was not fun at all. I was just honest. I was thinking, okay, so in our club, we were dealing and we were doing some meetings with parents during the season, for example. Matt Johnson was, I mean, for me, amazing in that sense. Ben Fisher as well was amazing in that sense because they were taking, okay, they were putting all the lines. And for example, in the clubs, in the gyms, we had like some letters, some cartels, posters over there, giving advice to the parents. Because being honest, okay, what is the most uncomfortable thing that can happen in a gym? So one coach coaching something and the parent saying to the kid, hey, put under the basket, go over there, score. Just making, okay, different things that the coach sometimes is doing or is saying, right? So for that, the communication coach-parent have to be very clear. And then if you as a coach, you cannot handle, then is when the sporting director or the technical director in that sense have to be ready. So you mentioned before, if I was going for practices, I was going for practices, but I was going for games as well. And especially in that sense, let's say sporting director, not the technical director, the sporting director, Matt Johnson was as well there. And he was controlling the behaviors and controlling everything. And in that way, I think that we had like in 5 years only one scenario that we should just say to one parent, listen, you are not going to be welcome if you are in that way. Please, in the next couple of weeks, don't stay here because we are going to be in a difficult situation to say that you are not going to be welcome. And after a while, he was back and he was very good. But this was more or less the situation. I think that, again, being honest, having a good communication and teaching properly, that's important. And not only for players, not only for coaches, but for parents as well.
Okay, thank you. We have two more questions just before we finish.
Of course, yes.
Peña ask you, as a GM or working in a ACB club, how important is the work from the club with the city and the community around, and what type of tools do you use to engage with this community that will support you?
Well, I mean, in my sort of experience, or in my experience, it has been like very important in both scenarios that we are focused, right? So let me start before with the Reading. In Reading, they have one of the best community programs in England. I think that Manchester could be the other one, and I don't know if it's maybe 1, 2, or 3 more before them, but they arrived to more than 4,000 kids, and that's very important. So, for example, I was signing American players to play over there, and they had to go to community programs, to the kids, to the schools, to make practices, to play with the kids. And that was key because, and actually I was demanding all the time, okay, that when they were doing this, okay, we should pick more kids and to the gym to watch these players. So it was like they were accountable about it to do properly. So obviously maybe you have a superstar and they are not doing that in a ACB club, right? But in that scenario, that was important, and we were working with the community because we were coming from the community, so we have to give back to the community. And I was involved in programs as well. Like, I didn't have to, but I was. So, and I think that Reading was doing very, very good. In ACB, I can see not only in Zaragoza, mainly in Zaragoza, they have a very good approach with schools. So I think that last year it was like the youth program coach, which is Sergio Josa. Also in that moment, the general manager of Zio, that was Sabovic, and after the sport director was Pep. So they were preparing things, and now this year Javi Gaston as well. He has been always just preparing short tournaments with MHL, which is like a different brand before he became like a CEO here. So we are fully involved in the community. We are just in different way. We are visiting the community every 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We are visiting, and the players, they are visiting schools, hospitals, and I think that is key. We invite people to practices as well. So we are having a lot of different scenarios. Like sometimes we have, okay, this week we are going to have like different schools or kids with special conditions. For example, they were coming like a couple of times during my time here in Zaragoza, watching the practice, and after we were making some photos and just taking care of them. And I think that is very important. It's very important. It's not because of the return in terms of economical, is more like what we give to them, and actually the love that we receive from that.
Of course. Last question from Ricardo Schuf. He asks you regarding the difference between UK and Spain, the process of development of the coaches inside the club, it's also different. So he asks you what was the biggest difference and the more difficult things that you felt from the experience that you had in England, and what the way that you work in Spain.
The level of the championship is different. The rhythm, for example, the pace. It's not because if it's slower in England, right? So I'm not talking about being slow or being faster. I'm talking about the competition. I'm talking about the sometimes it's not. However, in some level, for example, in England, the level of the contact is bigger, but the contact is in the wrong moment, and that was something that I understand when I was here. So the spacing, the understand of the game, the knowledge of the game is different here, and that's because of the competition in the early ages. So you took, like, for example, one kid, as I was in the under 15s in national programs in England, and they are like 2 or 3 years later than, for example, in Spain. That's why we develop over there like a program under 9s, okay, to start in 6, 7, 8 years, okay, programs. And in Spain, for example, you have under 12s, under 14s, okay, years old already, okay, looking, overviewing people in the national programs. And the competition as well is different. So sometimes you don't have under 14 competition in UK in some zones. That's crazy. It's impossible that in Spain you don't have a place just to play, okay, under 14s. For sure, you will have a closer to your area in less than 30 minutes for sure. It's very difficult, but mainly all of them, they have some club to play. And here they didn't have in some zones. Actually, I offer and I recommend the Basketball England Federation one idea that it was not my idea originally, was coming from J. Cuspinera, in that moment assistant coach Real Madrid, now head coach in ACB for like different years. And he was saying, because he was visiting as well me, why they are not playing, for example, 4v4, 3v3. If they don't have a structure to play in 5v5 league, they can play another league. But the important thing is the kids play. Yes. So I think that the champions, the tournaments, they are in different levels, and that's the main key.
Okay, the last one, a last minute question from Ricardo Dalva, that I know is a coach in England. He asked you, what did you most enjoy coaching in UK?
Well, I enjoy a lot, for example, the Academy League. I enjoy a lot the Division 1 because I thought in that moment it was a lot of interesting tactical coaches. Actually, the people were saying like the level of the coaches in the Division 1, which was the second division in England, was even better than in the ACB, let's see over there, the BBL, because the time of the players in training, in practice, was even more in the second division and in the first division. And I enjoy a lot, okay, chats with a lot of people. I think that coaches, they are trying in general, they don't have enough coaches probably, so they have to be more coaches and more coaches in lower levels. I think that they are in the right way, and I enjoy a lot because I enjoy the development in the players, but also in the coaches. And when you have a lot of coaches that you talk and they listen, I enjoy. And I enjoy because the best way to learn is to teach. So, for example, preparing this presentation, it was very good for me, because no, the things that I try to transmit is because the things that, as I say to you when we start, before of the camera start, I learn for myself, and I just realized that all the content that I had and I didn't know. So I just organized, and that helped me, and I learned a lot. So I was enjoying that. I was enjoying that process in England.
Okay, so we are at the end. I'm going to give you a minute just to say goodbye and to say anything that you need to say to our coaches.
Well, I mean, I'm just thank you very much for the invitation. Obviously, MVP Coaches Corner. I think that you are doing a great job. A lot of now websites or webinars about basketball. So enjoy all of them. Enjoy as much as you can. Be selective as well, because sometimes it's a lot of information. I will pass you as well, Nuno, if you don't mind, yes, the website that we have in Spain about the sport coach, which is like for development as well. We have like some free access over there for content, to share content as well. So if someone wants to share some clinic or some thing, we have a space which we call Platea, but at the same time we have like different clinics, webinars. Some of them they are free, some of them they have to pay. So, and we are just working now in English, in the English version of the website. So we are happy if someone also wants to just work with us to do in Portuguese. So it's a website which is want to be like just like you are doing, like development for coaches, and we are in the same way. So I really appreciate your invitation, and I hope that I was just a little bit fun and not too much talking.
Okay, thank you, Manuel. I hope that you and your family stay safe, and for sure we're gonna see you more times in Portugal. Eu só quero me despedir de toda a gente, desejar uma boa noite e relembrar que amanhã estaremos cá às 6h30 com o Goran Nossi, que vai falar sobre a filosofia do treinador e os pilares de sucesso. Espero que tenham gostado desta apresentação do Manuel Peña Garcés e amanhã estaremos cá. Boa noite.
Boa noite.